Each time archaeologists come across a skeleton, they know that there's a good story behind this person's life. Even if they lived a seemingly ordinary life for other people at that time, there is so much to learn from their bones that are left over. Thanks to the work of some dedicated forensic artists and professionals who are always seeking the truth, we can now begin to put a face to some skulls based on their bone structure. Some of the findings might surprise you too. From some of the first primates to develop human-like characteristics to people who lived during the end of the Ice Age, here are how humans really looked thousands of years ago.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm your host, American Eye. Before we get started, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and ring that bell for notifications. Help us get to 1 million subscribers.
But first, we asked you guys in a recent dinosaur video what dinosaur you'd like to clone. Today's shoutout goes to Ghost Hunter for leaving us this comment to the question and letting us know that he'd clone all dinosaurs. Hopefully that magic potion would keep you safe. Stay tuned for today's question and leave us your answer for the chance to get featured next. Number 11. Neanderthal characteristics. We could be much more related to Neanderthals than you might want to think. Studies have shown that about 20% of Neanderthal genomes survive in modern-day Homo sapiens. So about 20% of you is a little bit primal. Humans who live in deserts generally don't need the Neanderthal characteristics quite as much as the ones who do. Many characteristics of Neanderthals seem to gradually disparate after thousands of years of natural selection. Other qualities of Neanderthals would be just fine in modern times too. For example, the skin of this species seemed to have little to no evolutionary change for people who lived in colder regions of Asia. Ever wonder why you might get rosy cheeks? This is an inherited gene from our distant cousins. Also, the straighter the hair you have, the more similar genetics you might possess from Neanderthals. Neanderthal women were about 5 feet tall on average and might have been a little bit hairier. Men were typically 5'6" or so, but in general, smaller than your average human. Number 10. Strength. In order to survive a daily life of a caveman, it would require a great deal of strength. As our lives began to get easier in the Neolithic era and having to catch your own food was no longer required, people began to lose muscle mass. While Neanderthals had a great deal of brute strength, Homo sapiens evolved because of their finesse and also their fine motor skills. Consider the Neanderthals to be more like bodybuilders of their day, while Homo sapiens were more like marathon runners of their time. Some would compare their strength to that of a chimpanzee with a similar weight though. Although to some extent, the degree of their physical strength is under debate, but it's clear that they were strong, durable hunters like other predators of the Ice Age. Number 9. Blue-eyed cavemen. This is an artist's portrayal of how the first blue-eyed caveman might have looked like. The bright blue eyes doesn't seem to match the other dark characteristics of his hair at that time. Found in the caves of northwest Spain, this man showed DNA traits similar to Scandinavian DNA. He showcased a mixture of African and European traits, meaning the color of his eyes changed before the alterations in skin tone. His skeleton was unusually well preserved when it was unearthed near the city of Leon, Spain. The remains are believed to be 7,000 years old, and there are some hints in his genes that showed how humans began to change when agriculture was showing prominence at this time. He also would have been lactose intolerant and newly resistant to bacteria from domesticated animals. Number 8. The caveman smile. Have you ever noticed that when you're looking at a caveman skeleton, they typically almost have perfect teeth? Most of the time, they're also not crooked, almost like they had some form of ancient orthodontics. The reason our teeth started to become less perfect was mainly due to prehistoric farmers, long story short. Our teeth didn't necessarily have to be perfect anymore in order for us to eat softer foods that farmers were growing. Softer grains and fruit would allow humans with less straight smiles to survive as well. Other cultures across the globe who still rely on hunting and gathering as their method of survival have been shown to have more straight teeth as well. It's also been noted that once these tribes begin eating modern food, their teeth fall out quickly. If only we could have just stayed as cavemen, we wouldn't need to go to the dentist. Number 7. The skeleton of Lucy. Who knew one single skeleton could essentially change history and was completely baffling to archaeologists? Well before the Neanderthals was a species known as the Australopithecus. The theory of evolution seemed to be really nothing but a theory, but when a 3.2 million-year-old skeleton is uncovered that's not quite human and not quite ape, you have to wonder. They conclude that this was an early species of human who walked on 2 feet and had much more advanced frontal lobes. This discovery helped Darwin gain more support about his theories, but many were quick to dismiss it as a hoax. Especially since she only stood about 3'7", many people thought it was actually an ape. It's accepted by mainstream archaeologists that this is actually a species known as the Australopithecus, and a key factor to human origins. This photo here shows the cranial remains of an Australopithecus woman who's known as Miss Pless. That looks quite similar to the skull of a chimpanzee. Number 6. Neolithic people. The first Neolithic era, or the first Stone Age, would bring about more of a recognizable society that we can almost begin to call a civilization. This began around 12,000 years ago, when Earth was finally starting to warm up and humans didn't need to migrate quite as often to find food. It typically refers to the cultural characteristics, the changes in technology, domestication of animals like dogs, and also the usage of domestic crops. Although this seems like a huge step in the right direction, it was still rather a crude way of living. It was during this period of time when people began to notice amazing human achievements in construction and a significant increase in life expectancy. They would also be in considerably good shape considering the amount of work that they needed to be done, also including farming, construction, and they had powerful muscle mass, but less than that of a Neanderthal. Women were about 5 feet tall and men were about 5'6", but otherwise very similar to modern day humans. Number 5. The TOLLUND Man. The TOLLUND Man is still one of the most remarkable mummy discoveries in the world, and scientists have learned so much from this discovery. This one wasn't preserved with ice or mummification techniques, but the mysterious conditions of the Danish bogs, which allow for its preservation all the way down to the wrinkles on his face and the stubble on his chin. You're looking at the face of a prehistoric man, which might be a little bit mind-boggling for historians. It was discovered in May of 1950 when brothers were exploring the area. Since it seems so well preserved, police at first thought it was indeed a murder scene. It's believed that this man was a part of some kind of sacrifice due to the way his body was positioned in a sleeping position. Number 4. Bronze Age Man. Thanks to modern day technology, we don't need perfectly preserved mummies in order to get an idea of what some people looked like thousands of years ago. By using DNA and face molding analysis, researchers brought to life this Iron Age man that we see in this photo. It's estimated that he was anywhere from 25 to 35 years old and likely suffered from iron deficiency anemia some 3,700 years ago. This would result in pale skin, insomnia, dizziness, headaches, and loss of energy. Anemia can also cause people to develop cravings to eat things such as hair, nails, and dirt. He could have certainly gotten sick from this illness if his clan was going through a famine and was having trouble finding food. Number 3. The Homo luzonensis. Is it possible that some of the first humans inhabited the caves of the Philippines? Scientists are pondering the possibility after a rare discovery took place at the Calo cave system in the northern island of Luzon. Evolution in Asia has always been an interesting and complicated subject, but this just made it even more complicated. The skull remains are carbon dated between 50,000 to 67,000 years ago. The skeleton was dubbed as Homo luzonensis in April of 2019. Although there are no estimates as to how tall exactly they were, it's likely that they were substantially shorter than Neanderthals and were capable of climbing trees and would have looked similar to the Homo florensis. Number 2. The Denisovan cave hybrid. It's known that Europeans tend to have more Neanderthal DNA, while Asians tend to have more Denisovan DNA. It's believed that the modern-day Tibetans hold on to a decent amount of genes inherited from the Denisovans, which allows for them to resist higher altitudes. The Denisovans eventually crossed paths with the Neanderthals in the Denisova cave in Siberia, which led to the first Neanderthal-Denisovan hybrid to be created. Although the two groups were genetically similar to produce offsprings, they were extremely different in about every other way imaginable. Many hypotheses state that the Denisovans would have looked like the typical Neanderthal, but with more Asian physical characteristics. It's also believed that they would have had larger teeth and also would have been less hairy. But due to a lack of a complete skeleton, more discoveries need to be made to know for sure. Large amounts of hair wasn't necessary due to the fact that they adapted to a warmer climate. Alright, before we get to our number 1, we'd like to hear from you guys. If you could travel to any point in history with a time machine, where would you go and why? Let us know your answer in the comments section, and the best answer will get featured in an upcoming video. And number 1, 9,000-year-old Greek woman. Researchers have been working on a machine that gives detailed sketches of what someone would have looked like simply based on their DNA. But as of now, skeleton discoveries are the best way to know for sure. Here in this case, we see a photo of a face of a woman who would have been around sometime around 7000 BC and lived during a crucial moment in history. This is what people would have looked like when an agricultural revolution was taking place. During her time, she likely noticed how hunting and gathering could lead to some form of commerce by means of trading, and how farmers began taking over more of her land. She was also only 18 when she lost her life, but during that time, many people were lucky to live to their 30s.
So what'd you guys think of that video? Remember to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and help us get to 1 million subscribers. We'll see you next time.